I should be live right about now. This has become a tradition with OBS, but regardless, hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Mark Tech. Welcome to a somewhat untypical episode for my channel. It is also part of my new stream structure. As I've asked the community, and the community said you would like to have some content that is easier to consume outside of a live stream. I know a live stream might not really translate well to a VOD viewing because there's so much like distraction from the chat and stuff. So today's video will be about the Tesla Model 3 Highland. It will be about the Model S, the Model X, and full self-driving price cuts, and of course all my opinions on all of it. And to start it off, I would just like to give you that kind of content and see what you guys think of it. Now, the Model 3 Highland was announced officially today following months and months of rumors, leaks, speculation, and lies from several content creators who definitely didn't know what they were talking about. Now, the Tesla Model 3 Highland comes with a more aggressive, more angular look. It has new headlights. It has the full Tesla logo on the back instead of just the T. So it is definitely a high quality midlife facelift refresh, but it goes beyond that. Now, just to continue with the optical, there are two new colors: Ultra Red, very much inspired what Tesla has on the Model S, and Stealth Gray. Primarily you'll be seeing here Ultra Red because that's the color I clearly prefer. Tesla is really not holding back here. Supposedly half of all parts are different from the previous model, so there's a big engineering effort going on here. And with the design change and the change in parts, Tesla is also promising higher efficiency due to a different and plainly better CD value. Tesla's advertising is at 0.219, which is improved from 0.225, and just to put it into perspective, this is currently the most aerodynamic Tesla that is available on the market. Tesla is promising an 11% efficiency, though range claims are not quite in line with that. Now, range claims will differ depending on the region testing it, so we do have between 5 and 8% updates, improvements on a range, which is quite impressive because one thing that people need to consider here, it uses the same batteries and the same motors as the previous generations. The fact that Tesla is promising any kind of range increase above an already industry-leading efficient car is very, very impressive. And I say that not being the largest Tesla fanboy, definitely. There are also big changes internally, which are, in this case, in my opinion, even more important because this is where Tesla has been the most lackluster. There's now a more modern front screen with smaller bezels. It's brighter and they're promising more responsiveness. Whether that means it's getting like a higher refresh rate or the panel itself just has a faster response time, Tesla does not like, similar to Apple, to advertise what their claims actually mean sometimes. Though they have pointed out that it's still powered by the same processor, so there's no clear statement yet on hardware 4 or PS5-like graphics capabilities similar to the Model S and X. Obviously, I think detailed testing and breakdowns once the car actually comes out will tell us about those things. There's also a huge quality of light improvement for rear passengers. There's a new 8-inch rear screen between the two between the front seats, so people in the rear can access it. It offers access, of course, to entertainment such as Netflix and to climate control, which is very, very important because digitalized climate control sucks in general, and so this is now at least some extra accessibility to people and is very, very much appreciated. What is not appreciated by me at least is the continuation of the over-digitalization of the car. And I say that despite being a huge fanboy for all things tech, touchscreen, voice controls, etc. But there are no physical gear stalks anymore or turn signal buttons. It's all now managed through that big screen. However, there is a pro to just a general wheel. It is not a yoke, thankfully, so Elon Musk definitely didn't force his priorities here. And it now has an actual horn that you really can slam down on in the center of the wheel. However, it is definitely a shame that so many controls are now supposed to come from that one central screen, and we still don't have much needed things like an instrument cluster display or a heads-up display, which many cars in that price range offer either one of those or both, and that is definitely not something where Tesla is giving you a lot of value. Where things are definitely improved are the front seats. They're now perforated and ventilated. The rear seats are just perforated, so they match the design aesthetic. However, they don't have ventilation support. Throughout the car, it's just more modern. Don't forget that a lot of the technology is still was still there in the Model 3 from its original 2017 launch. So now they're improving microphones. There are now 2 instead of 1. Better Bluetooth connectivity, better Wi-Fi. So if you're parking your car in your garage and previously wasn't able to access your home Wi-Fi, maybe that might change at this point. However, there's been not an official confirmation on whether the LTE capabilities in the car have been upgraded at all or even to 5G. That is what I'm talking about when it comes to Tesla and sometimes Apple. Sometimes important spec points really are not covered the way I would prefer it to. The sound system is also updated, and admittedly the Tesla sound system has always been quite good. There are 9 speakers on the standard range model, but a whopping 17 on the long range, the latter being up from 14 in the previous model. And a big quality of life upgrade is the overall much quieter interior, thanks to different materials used throughout the construction, especially when it comes to the glass components, and through the inclusion of much better wheels by default. Both the 18 and 19-inch wheels now supposedly are much better at dealing with sound, so you will have a much quieter, much more relaxed driving experience, something very important, especially in regions like Germany, where we don't have a limitation on top speed on the Autobahn, which means that cars that have not been tuned for the Autobahn really become very loud internally. So this is very much appreciated. Tesla is advertising a 30% volume reduction. However, that of course will be tested. Throughout it all, there is now a long LED strip that runs through basically the entire interior. It's thankfully customizable RGB, and that was very much needed because unlike most cars, so basically every car I've ever been in, Teslas are really dark, except for okay, they have the glass for the roof thankfully, and besides that, light sources in the car are just atrocious. So this is very much appreciated, and to the Tesla fanboys who have made fun of the likes of Mercedes or VW, who have previously already included such light strips, well, now you know that other people did not agree with you. Yeah, it was a good idea by the other car manufacturers, and it's very good that Tesla is doing it as well. There's a new faster charge port in the front, which supports 65 watts, really good if you're charging a laptop. Most cars, even in the very premium range, support 25, 30 watts, so this is an actual pretty high-end feature, though obviously still not quite in line with the 100 or even 140 watt chargers that something like the 14 and 16-inch MacBook Pro could use. If we are then going over to gaming laptops, this is an entirely different discussion, but those ports are not USB-C. Those are barrel plugs. And one nicety that is especially important for the Model 3, which has always been a little bit criticized for its rear trunk, not in comparison to other highly efficient models, but especially in comparison to the larger Model Y, is that the rear trunk is now extended. It's now 594 liters instead of 561. Deliveries begin in October. Currently, we have data on a lot of left-hand driving markets like Europe and Middle East. I have not been yet able to get a lot of information on China. Some of it is pointing towards like next year, but I am open to corrections here. Obviously, this is still new incoming information and not everything has yet been translated properly by all sides. Prices here, like I'm in Europe, seem to be about the same or even or just ever so slightly higher. However, in China, this is now coming with a 12% price increase, going from the equivalent of $32,000 to $35,800. So definitely something that Tesla will need to try justify to Chinese customers who are now very much used to cheaper cars. With the strong competitions from the like of BYD, this will be definitely a little hard to justify, though if the model actually tests out really well in reviews, that might still be worth it. Now, I do have concerns, and my concerns for Tesla in general have been piling up for months and even years. Tesla is still really unclear and obfuscating a lot of information that I believe would be needed. Now, I've already covered stuff like the exact specifications for Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, 5G versus 4G, the inclusion of hardware for faster graphics capabilities, etc. But there's also much more. Now, what about sensors? I know Tesla is all in supposedly on Tesla Vision, but with how much leadership has been changing, I don't think it's too far-fetched to believe that maybe Tesla Vision should start including sensors. Not to forget that the Model S and X do include a radar sensor. That one is just currently not active. What about this car? Does it have this sensor? Does it have any other additional sensors? It does not seem to be bringing back ultrasonic sensors, and that is a real shame because ultrasonic is really impactful when it comes to self-parking capabilities or just the general recognition of close-up objects. This is not to say that Vision is completely incapable of ever replicating that feature, but Tesla is itself currently not shipping all features of cars with ultrasonic sensors to cars that don't have them and rely only on Tesla Vision. So how long until those cars are feature matched? Besides that, thankfully, there seems to be now a front bumper camera. However, it's not officially covered by Tesla, right? With so much else, it's basically something we're currently interpreting from images that we have gotten. And thankfully, the images that we have gotten are quite detailed, but that obviously is still no guarantee that what we are seeing is 100% correct sometimes. But yeah, at least we now have an extra bumper camera, but again, no radar confirmed. No comeback for ultrasonic, and don't get me started on LiDAR, which in my opinion is very much needed for any car that actually tries to go for full self-driving. As I've also said before, the over-digitalization really keeps on going here. And while the screen appears to be minimally larger, I've seen some contradicting claims. Some say it's now 15.4 versus 14. Some claim it's pretty much the same size, but now but just with slimmer bezels. However, it's not noticeably larger regardless. Like the Cybertruck is promising to come with a much larger screen. However, I still believe that some kind of instrument cluster or heads-up display is absolutely needed to reduce driver distractions. Like as CarPlay and Android Auto have been evaluated by safety administrations, they have found out that any kind of moving your hand and your eyes toward one central screen and away from the road is a safety problem, and how that will change, how that will evolve, well, all cars now have some kind of instrument clusters and heads-up displays in that kind of price range, or not all have both, okay. But to still have just one central screen, and now to force you to also do turn signals, and to also do other things that have been moved away from the wheel, it hurts a little bit, because it's a good car and it's great value, but to take away stuff like oh my god, I got too emotional here for a second here. To even take away like gear stalks, to me is just a no-go. And I know people will try to say I can do all those things on my Model S screen. Do what you think. I disagree on that regard. I think that Tesla really is trying to cheap out here on things that don't even cost that much. Besides that, for the overall entertainment system, the updates are coming and they're very much welcome over the air and they're very convenient. However, we still don't have yet a fully functioning store, and we don't have alternatives like CarPlay and Android Auto, which I know many people prefer. There are also just generalized promises of more premium experiences and materials. Tesla is promising to use a lot of more aluminum inside the interior. However, how much, what the actual quality of some of the hard plastics will be and other things, they remain to be tested. Sometimes Tesla really overstates claims, and that goes also back to things like range. Some things don't fully line up, like 11% more efficiency, but sometimes only 5% more range. What's up with that, right? Especially if weight hasn't changed. So again, I will not be poo-pooing this car, even though I am pretty critical of Elon Musk, and I myself will not be buying a Tesla because he is the boss there. But I will be fair to this car, and I will be fair to the amazing engineers putting a lot of work into this. So I will wait patiently for the reviews, and then I will keep on changing my own opinion, evaluating with new data. I think this is what we all should do. Besides that, there's no performance option currently announced, but that can obviously be easily rectified. And this is basically it. This is the introduction in the video. I hope you guys liked it. This will be available as a video separately on my channel. So let's get into the real news, which for those of you who are watching this as a standalone video, you can now tune in back to the stream.